We love our listeners.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. Talk Today is brought to you by South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers, a true Caymanian experience.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
May God bless every person.
Good afternoon and welcome, and thank you for joining us here on this terrific Tuesday as we invite you to be a part of Talk Today. 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email Talk Today at candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255. Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037. Or you can WhatsApp 925-326-1. Give us a call. Share your thoughts with us. It's going to be some open line. I want you to share with us. If I may, a fellow said to me, he said, I've been meaning to call you, but I'm not quite sure, how I would say what I want to say. Says he finds that, if it's just a regular conversation, yes, like a lot of us, sometimes we get a bit nervous, but even more so when he finds himself, in his mind, in a formal situation. So he wanted to call on air. So he has only done it once or twice in the past, but always feels like he has to speak a certain way or take his time or what have you. And I say, well, that's good. If you're making that effort, then obviously it's good that whatever you say, you want other people to hear it, and that's important. But he, unlike others who say, well, when I get wound up now, I might start to curse. So that's not his issue. He says it's more that would he get excited, when he start and stammer, would he speak really fast and clip his words? And I say, well, I do the same. Sometimes you get comfortable, but I thought what he wanted to share was important. Well, let's go to our phones first and welcome this caller. And thanks for kicking us off today. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Yes, hi, good afternoon, Mr. Ebanks. It's Quince here. How are you doing?
Hey, Quince, good to hear from you. And how are you today?
Well, I'm not going to complain, I like to say the glass is half empty. Some people say half full, but today it's half full. It's not half empty, it's half full. In its perspective, how you look at life.
Exactly.
Look at life positively or negatively, right?
Exactly.
The glass is half full. I'm giving thanks. And I could choose to become frustrated, but I choose not to. Because I know in life you need to be tenacious and you just have to keep on going even when hurdles are put in front of you. Well, it seems as if I've been calling the talk show quite a bit lately. Then there are months you don't hear from me, about 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I'm calling to thank Radio Cayman for playing local music. Of all the radio stations on Grand Cayman, Radio Cayman has made a decision to play local music, and I think that's a good thing. Just within the past half hour, we heard music from Daniel Agustin and Andrea Rivera, Light It Up, and we just need to continue to promote our own, because as I flip through the dial when I'm on Grand Cayman and I hear all the radio stations, it seems as if artists from other countries get priority, and then they'll just squeeze in a local song here or there. That needs to change. I mean, people like Barefoot Man, Notch, and other members of the Cayman Music and Entertainment Association, they've been preaching this message over and over for years. I mean, what does it say for morale when, if we are to support our own and encourage our own and play the music of our own, when you have to beg almost? It's a struggle. It's a struggle. What do you think?
Well, I share what you're saying, and I appreciate you acknowledging and recognizing that Radio Cayman without any great effort. It's just who we are. We've always played local music. We've always tried to say to the local talent, even way back when the recording sort of abilities of the available equipment wasn't necessarily what the artist would have wanted. We accommodated that then. You could even see that in some of the older songs to today, where we say to the guys, we want to play your music. We want you to get the best quality there is so that the listeners can hear the talent that you have. And we do that willingly. We encourage, we actually sometimes actively seek out and say to a local artist, hey, Joel, for instance, not to pick him on it too much, but, maybe I give Mr. Susan a break today. He has an incredible relationship with a lot of the local artists. They used to come in the studio often. He still does that. He plays their songs. He knows who they are. And it's good, man. I think that's important for our country. If it's going to really, really talk about nation building, we have to develop our people.
Absolutely. I concur with you. And I think all of Radio Cayman's DJs do a just job in promoting local music. And we can only... And for instance, Will Sinatra has a program called Local Sound Nation. So I say kudos to him. And all the DJs. You see, I understand the business standpoint, whereas you just cannot have a radio station just playing music made in Cayman. I understand that, which sometimes I debate that because I go to other Caribbean islands where you have many stations, and you can find stations that only play music from that country. I'm talking about our big sister there to the southeast, So I think artists like Stuart Wilson, I feel for you. If I rule the world for the day, I think of artists like High Tide. I think of artists like Andrea Rivera, and I think of the Is. I think of James F. Anglin, and so many others. They are producing works of international standard, and I think we need to continue to play their music, interview them, and some of these artists I've just named are actually working on projects that should soon come out within short order. Another thing I wanted to talk about, you see, Mr. Ebanks, briefly. Can I speak, or you have other calls lined up, sir?
No, go right ahead, sir. I always enjoy listening to you, man. Go right ahead.
And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. I'm involved with some community projects that's coming up within the next month and two. Like I have one planned for July, one for August, and a big one in September. And I am asking for the community support. This is something I obviously can't do on my own. I understand that to rent the Aston Rutty Civic Center is quite costly. Gone are the days, because in the past, I've actually gotten the key from the government admin building. You fill out the form, and I've rented the Aston Rutty Civic Center. Well, now, your group or your organization has to be registered. Now, my little group called BCTC, which is the BRAC Community Theater Company, formerly known as Backyard Caboose Theater Company. It's now BRAC Community Theater Company. We are not registered, so you're not going to find us in the book of registered companies. As a matter of fact, we are a non-profit organization doing grassroots level community theater presentations. It's been a long time we hadn't done one. So now to rent the Aston Rutty Civic Center is quite a bit of money that I don't have. And all that we do is for the community. It involves the BRAC community, the churches, the various organizations. And I'm begging them to please come on to join me on the 28th of July as we have a variety concert. I'm calling on people like BAM, the NDC, the Youth Act, and so many other organizations, because when we can put to the forefront our talented artists so that they can express themselves, it's a win-win situation, because there's so many negative things that our young people could be involved with. But if we encourage them in the performing arts, for goodness sakes, we feel proud. We have a group just back from California who did an amazing job representing the island. So kudos to Erica Asai, Rita Estevanovich, and the others. Carly, or is it Haley Tibbetts from the BRAC?
Haley, yes.
So many of our young people did really well. So we have to continue to encourage them. So I'm looking forward to meeting with Mr. Simon Miller from the NDC once he comes to the Bracken Thursday to put together some proposals. The problem, Mr. Ebanks, is because we are a grassroots organization, we don't have a whole lot of money. And I understand, Mr. Moderator, that people will be skeptical, a bit reserved to just putting money in my hands. I understand that. I also appreciate the fact that I have a past that's not too pleasant, but that's not who I am today. So anyone who would want to make a donation can do so by way of their pastor from their respective church. You don't have to put the money in my hand. I think I have a bad enough name as being a beggar. As a matter of fact, I've been issued some letters from various companies by way of the police to stay off their property because I had become a beggar. So that's my past. But I don't have a problem soliciting funds, particularly when it's going to a worthy cause. We're talking about the performing arts. We're talking about bringing down a guest speaker in September who's going to go into the school, who's going to talk about his experiences of recovery from alcoholism. So I have some worthy causes, and I need money. Now, as I said, you don't have to write the check in my name. You do not have to put the cash in my hand. I'm looking for pastors and other members of the NDC and the BRAC against alcohol misuse to perhaps help with some of the fundraising and manage the money. So that's the message I want to get out. And I think as a country, we need to be more forgiving, and we need to give our own more opportunities. It is not good when people come here and they see how we treat our own because it gives them the permission to treat us the same way as well. It's not about nation building, promoting our own. And I thank you for your time. I'm not going to say any more now.
No, not at all. But if you have time, if you would embrace the opportunity, I wouldn't mind a quick little exchange with you, if that'd be okay.
Could you repeat that, please?
Sorry, I'm not even hearing myself. Are you hearing me okay?
I'm hearing you a little bit better. I don't know if you could speak louder or I need to put the volume up on my device.
I'm not sure. I noticed that, sorry, Ms. Hughes, I noticed that even on my end, that is even not what it was originally. So,
yeah. What were you saying, sir?
Yeah, I was sharing that if you had a second, I wouldn't mind engaging you for a quick second. First, in relation to registering the nonprofits, as you know, there was a significant effort on behalf of the ministry to, I guess, for the last year or so. Now, even though the deadline is just around the corner, the cost was, little or nothing, or basically was free. But there may be an opportunity to get it, still get it registered if you can get some assistance in some respect. But I want to ask you, when it comes to our own people, the comment that you made last, we treat our own, so terrible that it sort of gives permission to others to do that as well. How do we change that? Only because his name was used yesterday, that he could be a great example. Someone like Mr. Bob Soto, for instance, a name that internationally, carries significant weight. There's almost, synonymous. Bob Soto, scuba diving, not just here, but we don't seem to have that level of respect for our own people, even when internationally they're respected. Look at our sea captains, for instance. There are still some today who are going to sea and who, even if they're retired, you speak their name in circles outside of Cayman. Man, they're celebrated, they're recognized, they're hailed as being really great at their craft. But locally, that's, Uncle so-and-so, that's such and such. Why is that in your view? Well,
I think it's because we find we have a lot of people in our society who are, 1, bad-minded, 2, begrudgeful, and 3, the crab in the barrel mentality. If I can't rise, then I feel that you can't rise either. And this needs to stop because we can see it across all the sectors, whether it's sports, administration, the arts, etc., etc. Once we take on a mindset that if you win, I win too, and we're all in this together. If we take this approach, we're all winners. And too many people waste time, what I like to call, I've termed the coin, spiritual envy or spiritual jealousy, because I am blessed with 10 talents and John might only have 3, he's wasting his time begrudging me and he's holding malice against me because I have 10, when he needs to realize that your 3, Mr. John, could get you where you need to go. Mm-hmm. And if we are to pool our resources and our talents together, we could accomplish much. You see?
So in a sense, then, if people would spend half the time trying to keep others down, as they do, they would be as twice ahead as they are. But how do we achieve that? Because I don't know if people appreciate exactly what you're sharing. We don't seem to love ourselves. We have little or no respect for each other. And then we're complaining why people are succeeding and we're not. Like you said, that begrudgeful, underhanded, was it bad-minded, was the word you used? We need to move beyond that, man. I mean, Quincy, look at you. You're an incredible talent. Incredibly gifted individual. Right? And
it can be quite frustrating when so many blocks are put in front of you, and I'm experiencing these hurdles on a daily basis, but we rise above them.
Exactly.
We rise above them, you see. I used to think it was a Caymanian phenomenon. I used to think it was a Caymanian problem, but you know what? It's human nature. You know, and I think the definition of a sick person, someone who's really sick, is one who gets pride and a sense of achievement and joy when they see someone else suffer.
Yeah.
That is a very sick, thwarted mind, and unfortunately, we have a lot of these in our society.
Yeah.
But it's human nature, and I find why other nationalities who form subcultures here in the Cayman Islands succeed is they're on foreign soil, so they pool their resources, they uplift one another, and we the Caymanians, we sit under the mango tree wondering, well, what's going on here? How come they getting ahead, we getting left behind?
Well,
I wonder what going
on. You are unfortunately correct, but maybe I'll share this with you, and as I remind myself, even when people strive to sort of, or even conspire to keep you down, you, me, keep you down, when they try to do all they can to put stumbling blocks, let that motivate us, let that cause us to persevere even more, and, despite those obstacles, we just press on, we got to be sort of, our best advocates, our own champions, not in an arrogant, selfish, self-serving way, but in a way that shows grit, resolve, determination, that sort of, resilience that our people are known for, man. So you rise above it, and your success one day will inspire, if not a nation, maybe just one person, but that'll be one more.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. And in closing, I know you have a commercial break coming up. In closing, I would like to kindly ask for the support of both members from Cayman Black and Little Cayman, the Honorable Moses McConnell and the Honorable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, because these are community projects that's forthcoming. The NDC, I'm hoping to confirm their endorsement, but so far we have the BRAC Against Alcohol Misuse endorsement, and we need money. So, and I know that Ms. Juliana and Mr. Mose, they are community-minded individuals. They give through the ministries and by way of their own personal money, they support causes. So this is Quincy, again, out there begging, trying to get some money together to make these events coming up on the BRAC most successful. My number is 924-8446. 924-8446. Mr. Sterling, thank you for your support and giving me this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Quincy, man. Keep pressing on, man. Don't ever lose the faith. Let's pause. Take a short break. When we come back, we invite you to be a part of our discussion. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place. For traditional Cayman cuisine, oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
Enjoy dining by the sea in the relaxed, tranquil atmosphere with local food specials every day and karaoke every Saturday night with Cayman Elvis.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
When it comes to designing a kitchen or a bath, functionality and style should be at the center of your design. Declutter, improve lighting, change cabinets, increase storage, and show your style with the help from experts at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 20% on the finest cabinets and fixtures this July for Kitchen and Bath Month at Brand Source. The design team can help create the perfect personal spa retreat and help design your functional kitchen, whether designing from scratch or renovating your home. Stop by Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, to save 20% on kitchen and bath cabinets and fixtures.
Did you know that garbage containers must be accessible to DEH collection crews at all times? They must not be placed in a manner that will impede the flow of traffic. Garbage bins must instead be stored in enclosures that are either placed at the front of the property or at the side that is accessible to collectors from the roadway. To prevent injury to collection crews, kindly ensure that your enclosure has an access gate. For more tips on proper waste handling, please visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Call and share your thoughts with us. Thanks again to the caller prior. Many of us would obviously know who he is, recognize Mr. Quincy Brown, and he'll tell you that there are times when I compliment him publicly and privately, and there are times when he may take it as me being, a bit of an older brother. He might even say an uncle. Hope he don't say a grandfather. And I may chastise in a sense, but only because I know he is gifted. I only say that because prior to his call, I was sharing with you a conversation with a fellow who says, he'd been wanting to call, but when he calls, he was worried of what he might say, the way it might come across. He might get excited. He may start to just talk. And I think it's important when we're speaking. I forget it often. Sometimes I do it deliberately. We believe that for some reason, if we speak and sound the way that we speak and sound, that somehow is a lack of intelligence. Well, to the contrary. Have you ever sat and listened to other people from other nations? Now, they have, to us, an accent, as we do to them. We have an accent. But just because they're speaking in a certain tone doesn't mean that they're even intelligent or even what they're saying is grammatically correct. But for some reason, we look down on the way we speak and the way we sound, and because... And I do it consciously. I used to do it to, annoy certain people and to entertain others. I would say, boy, that's a very wonderful one, because the V's and the W's were, synonymous, almost one and the same. Now, I would never, I hope, consciously write, the word W-A-N, unless I was looking for one with a D on the end. But I would know that it's a V-A-N. But it doesn't. And as simple as that may be, there's so many things. Now, it's not about allowing people to control the narrative, not to dictate and define that we are xenophobic when we express a strong sense of national pride. Look at the World Cup just played. Look at how many people, fans who are nationals of the team being played, no matter how poorly the team performed and never qualified, they were rallying. No matter how close they came to victory, but they still didn't raise the cup. Or even those who were adopted into the society, either by marriage or other, they were still celebrating their allegiance, their alliance to that nation. Why is it that we're not doing that? Us, who call ourselves sons of the soil, and others who've adopted this land. So let's find a way to do that now. You guys shared some other things, but let's take this other call. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I was feeling a good mood today on good health, but I'm not a very smart guy. I didn't go to university and all that. But there's some questions I had that a hair comes up on the read. I can't seem to figure out. So. We go right to the top in the world of President Trump. He's on his way up to how talks with China and Russia and North Korea.
Mm-hmm.
But just before he goes, he's saying he would like Cuba to increase force against Cuba because he don't like communists. There's something wrong with that. And he's like, I'm going to have a meeting with Barbados and Jamaica. But before it goes, I don't want Haitian because I don't like black people.
If I may ask of you, all right, just and we'll come back to international politics. Do you find there's so many of us who live here, Caymanians specifically, who can have and it's important to know what goes on internationally. How is it that we're so aware of whether it's the U.S. president or the British Prime Minister or the German Chancellor, or, maybe the CEO of some multinational. But we have little or no clue what our governor is doing or has done, our premier, or sitting members of the Legislative Assembly, or even some organization that may be lobbying for an environmental initiative or a business group that's trying to get a particular piece of legislation. How is it that we're so willing to know and to find out what's happening internationally, but we have little or no interest or clue of what is happening right around the corner?
Oh, and I call in. Maybe that's why they don't want me talking too much, because I talk too much about things that are happening right in our island. But, I must say this because things that happen in America and in Cuba affects us a lot, right?
No, I agree. We need to know what is happening locally, regionally, internationally. I fully understand that. And that's, that I think what makes us an informed people.
Oh, well, look at this. I heard in the Assembly debating the other day the high cost of medical care, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cuba, we all know, has some of the best doctors in the world. They're a lot nearer to us than America. Why don't the government associate more with the hospitals in Cuba rather than going to the hospitals in America? I personally, they told me I had cancer here, and I went to Cuba in 15 minutes just looking at a piece of my liver like a grain of rice and one X-ray. They could tell me it was not cancer. My bill in Cuba was less than $400. The bill in Cayman Hospital was over $7,000.
But I think too, I hear what you're saying, but when we look at costs and we'll consider exchange rates and we're talking about comparative costs, if $1 in Cayman is equivalent to $1,000 in some other part of the world, then sometimes when we start to consider that, maybe the cost isn't necessarily being truly equated with a particular situation there as it would be here.
No, I'm not called direct in Cayman dollars when I say that, right?
Mm.
But, it's okay. My cost to go to Cuba, that I found that I did not have cancer of the liver, right? Which means I did not do any chemo because I have better doctors, right? So, saved my life right there, right? The Cuban hospitals, I found out when I was there, is that they have a little room placed aside in the room. If you go with your mother or a child or something, you can be staying right in the same room there, right? Without having to be up and down, taking taxis up and down to the hotels and everything, okay? And like I said, the cost of medicine up there, dollar for dollar, Cayman dollar, is a lot less expensive. And if government had people to stand up, instead of sending like 20,000 to send them to somewhere in Miami or the States, you could send them to Cuba and get same or better treatment for less than half of that. So why don't they look into that? It's like, is it because America is embargoing against Cuba? What is it because our association with America, we had just as good association with Cuba before. We still have no problem with Cuba, so why don't we associate in the medical field more with Cuba?
Well, I think that's something that we could look at when it comes to, healthcare, education, tertiary and otherwise. Sports would an expanded regional as well as international cooperation assist the nation in developing its people, not just containing costs, but giving them better opportunities for training, for development, but also for perhaps care and treatment where necessary.
Yeah, the only reason I can see why America is against Cuba because of the good they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? America and different businesses are offering Cubans millions of dollars, especially in sport, boxing, and foot baseball and all that, to come to the United States. So it is not that they don't like the smart Cubans, because they're very smart people. The first thing Fidel did when he took over was compulsory to go to school. If you work in the night, you go to school in the day. If you work in the day, you go to school in the night. Right?
But then do you think, if I may ask you then, we see other nations put in a very, very, not just high value, but committing a significant investment to education. In the Cayman Islands, we would probably agree that a lot of funds and resources are committed on the expenditure or development of education. But do you think two things? One, that as a nation, we value education to the extent that maybe Cuba or some other place does?
I think most countries in the world.
No, sir. I'm talking about Cayman. Do you think us in Cayman, despite the buildings we build, the money we spend, the scholarships we offer, all the talk from politicians to principals to the private sector, do you think as a nation we value education like we should, like perhaps Cuba does?
We don't value it as much as Cuba, I don't think.
Okay.
And on my father, when I was young, said, don't get brains. Education, he stressed very much. My father here, right? And when he was going to school back, like he was born in 1915. He had no school buses or anything like taking to school. And he went to school for 5 years, never absent, never late. Right? When he went to the war, he was stationed in Trinidad. When other people were having fun in their time off, he studied. And he got a first-class British telegraphist license. Came back and worked with government here until 1966 when the royalists came in. Yeah? He always stressed education. But now, we have a lot of Caymanians that we didn't have those opportunities before, the older people. Now a lot of young ones are going off to universities in the States and everywhere and coming back, and they cannot get a job because
So with that then, if they're coming back with, in this instance, with degrees, or Miss Susan remind me I need to take a break. So I get talking sometimes and I pay attention to the conversation, not to her. Hey, we'll catch up again, so perhaps it's best, no? Let's stay tuned. When we come back, we'll hear from you.
We're building resilience one pipeline at a time. For the past 35 years, the Water Authority has been working to build a reliable piped water distribution network to better serve you in both fair and stormy weather. Visit our website or follow us on social media for useful hurricane preparedness tips and important updates in the case of an extreme weather event. This hurricane preparedness tip is brought to you by Water Authority Cayman, suppliers of the world's most popular drink.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Headlines. With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It's open line 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. Share your thoughts with us. Now, on the caller's point just prior to the break, now, do you think in this society that when we look at education and health care. When we look at everything and we consider the public sector, something that the government delivers, or the private sector. 2 questions. Interested to hear your view. 1, is it the general perception of our public that the private sector will do it better every time, hands down? And 2, if that is the reason, and if the government should be able to leverage greater resources, why is it that we don't expect more and better from our government? Now, obviously, if your first answer is in the negative, well, then I can pose another question. But what are your thoughts? Hands down, do you think the public sector fails at delivering when compared to the private sector, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, or whether it's in anything else? You think the private sector can do it better, does it better, will always do it better? 949-8037, 949-8037. Or give us a toll-free call at 1-800-534-8255. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. And as we get into that question, it'll be interesting to see what you think of it. The whole notion is that here's the summer. For some of us, anxiously and very, expectantly look forward to it because we get to travel. For some, we're going to be absent from the country for 2 months plus. For others, it's a little bit of a slower time because there's not so much of a demand or a rush, on their services. So they can kind of catch their breaths. Think a little bit more. Perhaps get to the beach, go fishing, get into the garden. Maybe do some other things that they would not normally have had time. And they, last 8-10 months of the year because they were so busy getting, the month-end reports out, getting to quarter end, year end, perhaps getting to the festivities of Christmas or, any other occasion. Now, the fellow I was chatting with earlier, he said, that's the challenge that he's been facing, in that he's finding that he's just busy, being occupied. Yes, he's cashing his paycheck and he's saving his money, but he's not getting a chance to think because he's been so busy. Now, doing what? Well, producing very little. Yes, there are billable hours, and yes, there'll be a nice paycheck, and yes, there'll be an expected bonus, and yes, there'll be all these things, but it's money. And whereas he doesn't want to sound, he said that, he doesn't like the idea that money motivates him now because it allows him not only to get some of the things that, when he was younger, he was hoping for, the fancy car, the nice home, that boat, the material things that some of us may not want the public acknowledge are the things that motivate us, but the things that, we were working hard in school to get good grades, so we get good scholarships, so they could get accepted to good schools, so we get a good degree, that we get a good job, get a good career, and again, a good paycheck. But he said, so busy you can't even think. And he was only thinking because for the first time he found that as the World Cup rolled around, he sat and watched. Now, I'm glad that he was able to do that because, like many of you, I recorded the games and fast-forwarded through them, knowing in most cases what the score was before I even turned on, thanks to Susan. She laughs. Let's go to her phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Very thankful. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm tired.
You're tired? I almost want to tease you and ask you what you've been up to, but I won't do that because I know.
Oh, no, I coming in from Honduras.
I know.
I was on the work for Carnival.
I know.
Oh, sir, you know what I want to ask you?
Go right ahead.
I think every child should have a cultural dress. I want to make one for my granddaughter, but I have a problem.
You want to know what size I am? Because I thought you want to make me one. Like, jeez, man.
No, I have put a wig on your head. I can't bother with that. I cut her off. As my sister Ezra would say, don't sleep by her because next morning I have her wig. And it's always wearing the hair. I really want to really know what color plaid, if it was red or if it was blue.
The plaid.
I want to make yeah, because I think every child should have a cultural dress. And
well, what about the boys?
Well, they should have a cultural shirt.
Yeah, what would that be?
Well, that's the thing. We got to get the right color plaid. And what I'm going to do with my granddaughters, because I know Caymanian children is not used, and they can say that old-time, old-fashioned dress. I'm going to use the same style, but I'm going to modernize it. and, we get a nice hat made for her and a nice bag, because I can't make it for anybody else, because if I do, my daughter, no, I can make it for my granddaughter. I want to design a culture dress for Cayman. And I was looking at Caribbean culture dresses, and actually all of our dresses, Jamaica, St. Vincent, St. Martin, and all of those, have the same type style. But my problem is what color that Cayman use. Another thing I got to bring to your attention, all things to say is true. We go on like crabs in a bucket, we bad-minded, and if you're not driving the Mercedes, that means I can't drive it. Sterling, you see me? I try to do everything on my own. I don't want to get mixed up with them. I'm happy that I'm out of, in Honduras. If they even said anything bad about me, I wouldn't know. And if I say anything bad about them, they wouldn't know. So we remain good friends. Because we fight. Now look at what's going on with the carnivals here. Barabanu been here now for years. And because one can't drive the Mercedes, they don't want the other one. I'm not getting mixed up in that. Because you know why? When they made that culture law, Barabanu should have been protected. But you know what happened? If they had did it, they would have had to protect me. And
but if I may ask you, why do you feel that should have been protected?
Because it's been here so long, and it's a culture, it's a Caribbean culture. So it should have been protected. It had the years in. You just can't come along and say, I want this now, and this one must be changed. I mean, come on, give credit to Barabanu. Barabanu has
so
been
do
here
you think
years.
that they do you think that the market, the Cayman marketplace, there's a sufficient scope for more than one? Do you think two can survive?
Two is enough for this little country. You got countries bigger than here. Countries bigger than here, and they have one. Look at Nottingham. The biggest event is the Nottingham Carnival. Venice, all those places, one carnival. We managed to have two Paris Week and Barabanu. And okay, leave it to that. We don't need no more. We don't really need no more. Come on now, Sterling. One back-to-back, and then only that, if you change this date, you're going to get into rain. You see what happened in May? That's why Barabanu is the first weekend of May. Because it has a meaning. It's about the turtle. I can't exactly remember, but it has, Barabanu has a meaning. Now, it rained all year. It rained after May, after Barabanu, the first weekend, and it poured after that. Why can't we all just be one and join one instead of having three back-to-back carnivals? Because you got Barabanu, you got Cayman, and then you got Paris Week. That's back-to-back. The police are talking about it. They're tired of it. Some people are tired of the nakedness, but I mean, that's what they want to wear. I really don't care, because I work in Honduras, and I'm quite happy out there. The thing is, Sterling, we need to, I don't know what to say about it, because it's like crabs in a bucket mentality. Right now, all of my projects that I've ever done, I had to do them on my own. Right now, I'm doing one thing. I'm getting ready to compete in Italy. I'm doing that on my own. I went and I got my non-profit organization license. I'm doing everything. I'm not getting mixed up. I'm too old to row. I don't row. I just tell you what I got to tell you about what I'm saying. Like, somebody need to come in and put the foot down and say, this is it. You don't need all these carnivals. Somebody got to speak up. Nobody wants to speak up.
But I mean, why should somebody speak up? Why don't we do like we do with most things when we're talking about being a capitalist society? Let the market decide. Let the consumer and have sponsors and all other sort of variables that go into the market economy. Hey, you know what? We prefer this over that. We prefer it this way over that, and that be the product that is successful.
Well, somebody got to do something with it, because I really, 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 really don't want to get involved in it, but it needs to come to a stop. Which one you can be, Cayman or Barabanu? You got to make.
Well, why can't we have both? If that's the case, can the market support too?
Well, that's the thing. That's what you need to figure out. That's the post using.
Really? Well, they can hire my consultancy firm. Susan, me, and I.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Sterling, we need to do something. How many? I want to ask you now.
Yes, ma'am.
Big Jamaica is. How many festivals they have? They got a bigger market, and that's when it comes to carnival. How much?
Don't know, ma'am.
They have one carnival festival. Trinidad have one. Brazil have one. These are big countries. What a little market that they got. Maybe 15, 20 people. Maybe 100 people.
How many churches do we have? How many bars do we have? How many restaurants, fast food outlets? How many national stadiums do we have? I can probably go on. Tennis courts. Mom, with the greatest respect, please allow me to stay on the good side of Miss Susan and get to her news break. Stay on the line, call me back, join me if you wish. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Let's read the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
Cayman will be represented at the International Society for the Prevention of Child Abuse and Neglect 22nd International Congress on Child Abuse and Neglect being held in the Czech Republic this September. The documentary Unspeakable, Confronting Child Sexual Abuse in the Cayman Islands, is one of only 4 media theater presentations accepted for this year's Congress. Unspeakable is the second major output for the Cayman Islands Protection Starts Here multi-agency child abuse prevention project, which is spearheaded by the Cayman Islands Red Cross, working in partnership with a number of local agencies. In international news, unbowed by the broad condemnation of his extraordinary embrace of a longtime U.S. enemy, U.S. President Donald Trump declared Tuesday that his summit in Helsinki with Russian President Vladimir Putin went even better than his meeting with NATO allies last week in Brussels. The tweeted defense came a day after Trump openly questioned his own intelligence agency's findings that Russia meddled in the 2016 U.S. election to his benefit, and he seemed to accept Putin's insistence that Moscow's hands were clean. British Prime Minister Theresa May faced more rebellion in Parliament on Tuesday over her plans for the country's exit from the European Union, with lawmakers voting on a Brexit trade bill a day after she narrowly avoided a parliamentary defeat. Pro-EU lawmakers from both May's Conservatives and the opposition Labour Party want Britain to join a European customs union if there is no trade agreement with the bloc by January, 2 months before Britain is due to leave. They are seeking to change the wording of the trade bill, which gives the government the power to set up new international trade relationships after Britain leaves the EU in March. Those are your latest headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Really appreciate the caller's indulgence and staying on the line. Thank you so much, ma'am. Welcome back.
Yes, sir, Sterling. What was you saying, Sterling?
No, I was asking in that, and I hear your view, and my question was, why should we ask or insist that the government steps in and says, nope, they're going to be one. If we have a capitalist society, and we're not doing that with the number of bars, restaurants, churches, or any commercial entity, why are we have seemingly two very distinct and almost disparate educational systems and healthcare systems? Why are we going to do that in this instance?
Well, I don't know, Sterling, what system we should do it in, but I don't think they're getting the market to have all of this. Look at Pirate Peak used to get a good market. You said about it coming back there now from what the Jamaicans would say, a foreign. What about a harlot coming a foreign for that?
But is that because of the offering? I mean, when people...
I think it's the floats and stuff. That's what people want to see, and it's not upgraded, and we need to put more energy into those floats and make them much prettier. People don't want to come see one parsley, one pumpkin, one pineapple, and one this and one that. People want to see beautiful floats. Telling you. Then Banu has been here for years, and I don't know what's going on with that, but I don't think we need all of that. Because bigger places like Brazil, yes, we got plenty of churches. But you can do a church too,
You want to?
Depends on the three people.
The church of Susan?
But maybe because he gets plenty of money, and we might be able to donate it. But we need to. Big places like Brazil. How many festivals that they have so big? Brazil Carnival. Okay, check Mardi Gras. How much they have? New Orleans have the Mardi Gras. New York, Labor Day. Connecticut, California. All of these places have one big carnival. We have two. Well, one is a heritage and one is a culture. Now we got three. So we can soon get four. And every time one gets away with it, the next one can come along and they can have another carnival. And they can keep going. Then we can have just as much carnivals while we got churches. So we might be able to get that 100,000 people we want. Sterling, you know something? We need to think. And listen to me. You try find out the color of that cultural dress that I can say I got one made for my granddaughter, whether it's blue plaid or red plaid.
Okay.
Ray can find it. But I think something needs to be done. I'm not getting involved in it because then everybody turned their back on me. That was it. Now, I'm happy in Honduras. I'm happy. I know how to get all of my projects done by myself. If I feel bad, I can lay down. I don't have nobody. All I have to do produce. And when I get my money, I can show the people and be honest. That's all I'm responsible for. But what I am saying, something has to be done. But you must remember now, having carnivals and the churches and stuff, and everybody got a building. This thing is on the street, and police has to work. They hold up traffic and all kinds of different things. So it's a different way about that. You got to look at that different. Some police don't want to work.
Well,
people are complaining about it.
I hear you. Well, anything else? If not, I'll take the other call. So other things I would ask you, but we can do that another time. Anything else you want to share with us?
All I'm saying that people are complaining about the nakedness. It is not the costumes that is naked, it's what you wear with the costume. Because if you look on the picture that was sent out from Honduras with my costume, none of those girls was naked. All of this, we need to put something to something.
Yes, ma'am.
But we don't do that.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you can't drive the Mercedes-Benz, that means I can't drive it. You just found out for me what color I got to get that plaid, and you give me a call on it, or you can announce it. So you give me a call, because I may not hear it.
You want to know if it's blue or a red plaid, right?
Red plaid, because then older people would know. I got you. Ray can research it for me.
Well, let's harness the wisdom of the crowd. Let's go to the next line. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Dwayne, Dwayne, number one, New Kingston.
How are you, sir?
I'm listening to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're coming in clear, too.
Oh, man. Susan's doing a good job.
Listen, that's one of the reasons I called you, man. Saturday evening, she did a beautiful job with that country classic.
Well, did you get to listen Saturday evening on our sister station? I'll make sure I put that in. Breeze FM, when Mr. Loxley was, doing his bit.
No, and I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, man, you missed it. He and I didn't hear the whole thing, right? I wanted to. But there was a particular bit, and I was glad I was listening for a while, that I got that the London Philharmonic, hopefully, or is it the Royal Philharmonic? Anyway, I think it's the Royal Philharmonic, has a done piece now of Elvis Presley's music. And man, that was neat. Here's Elvis singing, and here's the symphony behind, sort of accompanying the musicians would know more about it. But it sounded great, man. So I thank you for listening. But if you haven't got a chance to catch his program on Breeze, you got to, man. You really got to.
That's the problem. I keep forgetting about that one, and I'm not going to lie to you or lie to anybody else.
That's fine, man. I can get Susan to come and call you. No, I won't do that. Just kidding. But if you can, I forget it too. I'll be honest with you. I actually enjoy it, and this is the Future Classics, I think he's going to call it. So, maybe I'll remember to send a message pigeon to remind you.
Remind yourself to call me to remind me.
There you go. We can do that.
No, don't hang up on me yet. I got
No,
two
sir.
more things to say.
I'm not going to hang up on you.
The second thing I want to say is this. Logic TV, what's going on up here with these Channel 2, 4, and 5? Every week, these things are going out, and these are the stations that brings on most of the news that we get from foreign.
Okay.
It might not be the same number with you.
Yeah.
Okay? But those are the three stations that are going out nearly every week. Right now, when you turn it down, you might hear, gone, black. Turn to the 2, not a thing. You turn to the other one, you just see a picture stand still. Come on, man. On a better than that. People paying them money, man.
Have you, respectfully, have you been able to call their offices directly and speak to someone?
I called Stickby, and I've told them already.
Okay.
Now, the next one I'm going to call is Grand Cayman.
Well, do that then, sir. I mean, sometimes you need to call the offices,
Yeah, but I don't like to make trouble of it with the people. You understand what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I'd rather if they could just get things going straight, man. Because people are paying the money for it.
Well, you're a paying customer, so therefore you should get what you pay for, right? You should also pay for what you get, but you know what I mean?
All right, one last thing.
Yes, sir.
I heard on the news now they're going to let the coupons out free. Some of them.
Apparently, yeah.
Are they going to be let out free just as so, or just temporarily?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I didn't really pay any great opportunity to review the press release or to follow that.
Yeah, well, I did. Why I said this, I always say when they come, give them water and food, and if they want to go ahead. But I said if they start making them get out free to stay and this, you're going to have more boatloads. I'm not being rude to them, disrespectful, I'm talking straight. You're going to have more boatloads coming if they start. Immigration, whoever it is, on the lookout. Make sure they're doing the right thing. No disrespect to none of them there. That's just how I talk. And I said, be careful what they're doing, what they're letting go for, so-and-so. You're going to soon hear more of them. They're again more hunger strike again, and more going to come out, and then you're going to hear the comment. Dwayne, you mightn't believe me, but one day you're going to say, that long man from the black told me so.
Well, you've obviously have incredible wisdom. You've demonstrated that in the past with many of the things you've not only shared but advocated for. So there's probably merit in what you're saying. It creates a precedent, right?
All right, and listen.
Yes, sir.
Remember our deal about Saturday, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right.
You have a good day, sir.
All right, you are listening to you. All right.
Take care. Okay, bye. Man, he is always a pleasure to speak with. I'm going to pause quickly and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
King Sports Center's Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 3rd to August 3rd. Now in its 14th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids aged 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and crafts, dance, singing, and more. Your child can stay cool while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, email kings.brebanks@gmail.com. That's kings.brebanks@gmail.com.
KingSportsCenter.com or call 946-KING, like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram or call 946-5464. King's Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
When it comes to designing a kitchen or a bath, functionality and style should be at the center of your design. Declutter, improve lighting, change cabinets, increase storage, and show your style with the help from experts at Brand Source Home Gallery. Save 20% on the finest cabinets and fixtures this July for Kitchen and Bath Month at Brand Source. The design team can help create the perfect personal spa retreat and help design your functional kitchen, whether designing from scratch or renovating your home. Stop by Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, to save 20% on kitchen and bath cabinets and fixtures.
South Coast Bar and Grill up in Breakers, man, that is the place for traditional Cayman cuisine. Oh, you will love the taste. At South Coast Bar and Grill, we got conch and lobster and turtle stew. And every Sunday, come out with your family for the barbecue.
Enjoy dining by the sea in the relaxed, tranquil atmosphere with local food specials every day and karaoke every Saturday night with Cayman Elvis.
For Cayman and cuisine, the talk today is South Coast Bar and Grill.
It's hard. Being a parent is demanding, not to mention trying to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I needed help, and the Ministry of Education was able to provide it for my child to attend preschool. From one parent to another, if you need the financial help, submit your application today to find out if you qualify for preschool funding assistance.
If you have a child who is 3 years old but not yet 4 by September the 1st, you may be eligible to receive funding. Application forms can be collected from the Government Administration Building, the Department of Education Services, all early childhood centres, and may be found on the Ministry of Education's website at www.education.gov.ky. If you need more information about this government assistance program, please do email ecap@gov.ky. That's ECAP@gov.ky, or call 244-5724.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. You call, share your thoughts with us. The last caller, we all not only know who he is, but really appreciate his, not just his loyal support of Radio Cayman, like so many of our listeners, but the fact that he is involved in his community, is informed, and is greatly concerned, and the things that he has asked for, not things for him alone, as a consumer, like for instance, whether he's questioning whether the government TV channel should be available to the viewers in the BRAC. That's going to benefit everybody. The fact that he may be having problems with service for telephone, television, garbage collection, or whatever it is, the sidewalks on the roads. There are things that many people probably said, I wish some other would say something. Well, he has, and he does. And again, it goes back to our society finding a way to respect ourselves, but equally respect each other. And if somebody says, does something that we don't like, well, is it, as the scripture says, do we get somebody else and we two of us go and have a chat? Or is it something that we can, because we know each other, because we have demonstrated a sense of credibility and respect for each other, that we can go and say, have a visit. Maybe we'll take a piece of cassava cake or mix a little swanky. I used to call a little drink my daddy used to make when we were small, a little beverage, but no more than sugar and some water. But hey, that was a good drink. And you go and you have a chat and you discuss that thing. Now, as the caller prior talked about the 100,000, well, it mightn't just be that number relative to some festival. It may be the number or twice that we're talking about as a sustainable population. Well, if we can't manage what we have now, how you can manage more? And the scripture says, if you can't take care of the smaller things that I give you, you expect me to trust you with the bigger things? Well, comes back to a society willing to speak out, stand up, and do the right thing. Is that what is missing? Go back to the fellow that I was speaking with earlier. And he said, it's so unfortunate that we're so busy. We don't have time to think about the things that we should be thinking about. Or when we think about it, well, we're so caught up in, that immediate resolution that, we don't no longer can think long term. Well, let me hear from you. Toll free or direct. Either way, let's go to our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hey, good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon, Miss Susan. Good afternoon to all our listeners.
Good afternoon, sir, Mr. Raymond. How are you?
Yes, sir. I'm trying to make the best of it.
That's the way forward, man. Put a good foot forward, sir.
Yes, remember when you and I was talking, I think you might have been concerned sometime about these unusual transports coming through our area. Well, I want to let the residents know that whoever is traveling on the flights from Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac or Little Cayman, there is one of the world's most expensive oil rig sitting on the deck of a super tanker-sized ship, monster ship, which is 35 miles southeast of Cayman Brac now, and it passed between Grand Cayman and Little Cayman. It is brand new, coming from the shipyard in Singapore. The cost $1.3 billion rig.
Wow, billion.
And why this story is a very interesting story that I want to put out to the public. The company that has this oil rig built, Royal Dutch Shell, which is operating off Louisiana in the Gulf of Mexico, they say that with a forward look, we should have a break-even price of less than $35 per barrel on the crude oil that oil rig will be drilling and producing in 2021. So if that is the case, that the oil could go down to $35 per barrel, that would mean cheaper gasoline and diesel prices in the U.S., which we get it from Houston and Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They are the main port. So that's why this story is interesting for me to put it out to the public to talk about this mega oil rig that is passing between Cayman Brac and Grand Cayman, Little Cayman and Grand Cayman this evening. And as it looks, it could come fairly close to the western point of Little Cayman, or it could come fairly close to the eastern and north coast of Grand Cayman. Not sure what the path will be. But the ship that is carrying it is 836 feet long by 223 feet wide, and it's the second biggest heavy lift transport ship for carrying ships, barges, and oil rigs in the world. And it's owned by China. That ship was also built with intentions in case of a war that the Chinese would use that for a floating airport for defense, for jets landing and taking off on board this giant ship that has an unobstructed deck. That's quite an interesting story. And I'm very well familiar with it. I watched it pass here about 8 months ago, and I directed it in 8 miles off the coast to do a salute for one of our great seamen from Cayman Brac. I watched it from the Brac Reef steer bar. It was 8 miles off with a monster oil rig on it. Then it carried back one from New Orleans to the Persian Gulf and loaded back this one for Shell Oil and headed back to the Gulf of Mexico, 150 miles southeast of New Orleans. That's where this rig will be positioned and drilling and producing oil in 2021.
Wow. This is the thing. I think people, probably don't have the great fortune of you and some others who are out there on the waters specifically, who can see some of these. Now that you shared that with us. But then as I listen to you, the waters are territorial waters as well as the waters nearby. There's so much activity. Maybe, as you've said in the past, government could perhaps look at what it would benefit, what it would cost, how it would be a way for us to extend our territorial waters. Would we be better off as a result? Maybe this is the UK's continued failure in relation to good governance and to ensuring the economic stability of the country, to help the country to develop provide the technical assistance where necessary in matters like this.
Yes, exactly. And also an interesting story. There is a car carrier that's passing to the north of Grand Cayman now, carrying trains and buses to Cuba. They're carrying around 80 Chinese buses, brand new buses from China, going to Cuba, and 2 large locomotive steam engines that have driven right up inside the ship, and the stern opens up and discharges it. That's going to dock in Havana, Cuba, and discharge that. And this is a common thing. Sometimes it's 2 a month carrying buses and trains and all kinds of equipment coming from China and Japan going to Cuba. That stopped by Kingston, Jamaica. Also, the 4th biggest car carrier in the world is passing south of Grand Cayman this evening, 1 on each side, some of the biggest in the world. That one was in Kingston, Jamaica, and that carries 7,800 cars. It got on board now around 5,000 cars. The Hogue Shanghai, which will be passing south of Grand Cayman later this evening. So, as I said before, we have become the 2nd busiest shipping lane in the Western Hemisphere. The only one busier, and sometimes we are busier than the Florida Straits and the old Bahama channels north of Cuba. And 95% of American imported commodities from all over the world to make the products that them and we use and the world uses comes through the Cayman Island waters. All the ores for making chrome, vanadium tools and all kinds of stuff like that, ferrochromate, manganese ore, and these kinds of valuable titanium, slag titanium ores for making titanium bits and all that come through our passage. We got one coming through here on Friday of this week, carrying titanium ore for making titanium teeth for cutting blades, bulldozers, and all that kind of thing. So we are in the midst of an immense amount of trillions of dollars worth of cargoes coming through our water.
You know, as I listen to you, we're seeing, perhaps just through what you're sharing, a glimpse of why some of the things that are unfolding on the international scheme of things, how we can play into it, whether it's through leveraging our waters and tapping into our maritime heritage, whether it's through, you know, us as an offshore financial center, even if it's our own people, whether through the creation of knowledge-based industries and getting our people into certain sectors, giving them the skill sets, we can able to facilitate international commerce. But then again, you know, maybe we're back to that old adage that Quincy shared, you know, too selfish and self-serving to see the big picture. Anything finally before we go to the break that you want to share with us, sir?
I would like to see established in the Cayman Islands is more interest and effort put toward re-establishing the navigational history of the Caymanian seamen. Mm-hmm. I know I had a few calls from youngsters in Grand Cayman who was interested in some of the things that I talked about and asking. They were saying when they grow up they would like to become a seaman. So that's good news for me to hear some youngsters call me and say I would like to be a seaman. Nothing greater than hearing that they would be interested in doing those kind of things.
Well, I must share with you, I don't have permission to say it publicly, but of all of the, you know, sort of sadness that we've maybe experienced in this year to date, so to speak, I got some wonderful news over the weekend that someone's grandson is graduating from a maritime school, you know, in Florida, and, you know, has his captain's license and, you know, 200+ ton vessel. And this is as a young Caymanian, and, you know, as the grandmother shared with pride, all of us received it equally, with not just a continuation of our maritime heritage and tradition, but the fact that our people are, you know, capable of, you know, passing the bar exam or getting the accounting qualifications or becoming a master mariner.
Yes, that is correct. And also Jamaica has a navigational school that are teaching several students into the field of navigation. And during the last year, I have surprisingly talked with 5 Jamaican mates on big tankers passing Cayman Brac, trading from Trinidad to United States and various other places. And they said they are third mates, second mates, and third mates on tankers 35 and 40,000 tonners, 600 feet long approximately. And they were delighted to speak with me, being someone from the Caribbean as well. Here's someone from the Caribbean on the radio that could talk with them while passing the island, and we exchanged a good conversation to that. So Jamaica is barging out with teaching their men navigation and getting them out there who needs a job and can't get a job ashore. Same thing with Caymanian seamen. It can be done. All it needs is to say, we're going to make a go of it and get people taught, teach, and do these things. It can be done.
Well, when you say that, it reminds me of someone who used to recall, one of their contemporaries in a very fond way saying, he said, it might not be easy, but it can be done. Well, it can be done, so let's do it. Hey, thank you very much, sir, for sharing. And I invite you to have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Let's pause and take this break. Put the commercial dollars into the till. Who knows what we'll do with that? Well, they go to general. Let's pause and take a break. When they come back, more Talk Today.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Healthcare Pharmacy, caring about your health for the past 25 years. Radio Cayman's premier health show.
Alzheimer's and dementia, are they the same disorder?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
For the Health of It with Tara Bush.
Is heard on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Brought to you by Healthcare Pharmacy in Grand Harbor, where they care about your health. Transfer and refill your prescription online. Visit healthcarepharmacy.com. KY or call 947-8900. Healthcare Pharmacy now with a new and second location in Governor's Square. The new Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor's Square is open Monday to Friday 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Healthcare Pharmacy, where they care about your health.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It is open line 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. You can call and share your thoughts with us. If you want to WhatsApp, let me check it out. The WhatsApp is 925-3261. Now, questions had come through earlier when one of the callers was asking and making some comments about healthcare and the like, and WhatsApp Messenger had posed the question, well, is this diagnosis, was it one that was made by a physician in the private sector, or was it one that was made by a physician in the public sector? Now, that is asked for two reasons. One, well, the person made a point to ask the question, so we want to be able to share the input of our listeners. But equally, remember we asked you earlier, what is your perception as we referred to our conversation with a fellow earlier who said, listen, there's so many things happening in our society and we look at things differently. One of the things he was asking is, why is it that we believe that the private sector is going to do something that's going to be done better than when the public sector does it? Why do we believe that the private sector employee is more competent, more skilled, more confidential, just better than the public sector employee? Why is it that we have such a low, view of the public sector? And be interested to hear from you, your view. Do you think that the private sector does it better? Hands down, whatever it is. It needs to be done right, done on time, done within budget, done efficiently, effectively, ethically, honorably, all the values and virtues that you can come up with. That just give it to the private sector because they're going to do it. Now, you may obviously ask me what I think, but I'll share that with you too if you want. Well, what do you think? Public or private sector? Which is one that much better? Or if you want to ask it a different way, is one really as bad as people think? Now, some of you have a very dismal view of the private sector. Not just the banks, not just the insurance companies, but in general, the way they look at things. Some of you obviously have a similar, less than stellar view of the public sector as well. So, the question to be asked then, why is it then that if the private sector is better, why is that? If the public sector is so bad, why do we accept it? Why is it? And if the government has at its disposal certain resources or should be able to leverage the country's resources, why isn't it that we have better from the public sector than it seems that the public has come to expect and accept that the public sector isn't going to do it right? Well, your thoughts, 949-8037, 949-8037, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. WhatsApp 925-3261. Or if you choose, you can call us toll free 1-800-534-8255. We also have an email. From time to time, you'll be surprised that it actually gets some use. talktoday@candw.ky. Now, there are those of you who have other ways that we've agreed on that you can use. Well, go ahead and use those ways, and I, with your permission, will share as you wish. And I say that only to indicate that we still have a number of people in this community who, for whatever reason, could just be our nature, could just be our general distrust of things, it could be whatever reason. We like to get things to people in a certain way. Back to the fellow earlier when we were talking, he was saying, so busy, can't get a chance to think. The fact that he, with his colleagues, with his family, they had 4 years to prepare from one World Cup to the next, and they were able to coordinate their schedules and as best as possible be able to, beforehand, well, these are the teams that we support, so therefore we're going to watch those games. Yes, work will be done, clients will be served, but they got 4 years notice, and so therefore they were able to do that. And in that time of watching the games, you want to call it fellowship, there was an opportunity to think, and in the thinking there was some conversation. In the conversation there were some interesting sort of discussions that led to potential ideas and solutions and just thoughts. And those thoughts could, he said, translate into some sort of action. As an example, he said, one of his colleagues, and I don't think we're talking at the school, was trying to find a way to encourage a family member to pursue a particular path. And by them being as close as they are, as friends and the like, they were all somewhat familiar with this whole scenario. Well, they're all sitting down there. There's a family member weighing in on it. And as he said to me, he said, lo and behold, somebody had an idea that not only was a very good idea, it was similar to one that was put forward, but it had a greater appeal. And more importantly, it was accepted by the family member as the best course of action forward. All because people had time to be able to sit in accepting, very nurturing environment. Yes, it was over the sport of football, as I said to you, probably the best sport in the world. Maybe there's only one other, but that's for another discussion another time. And because of that game, male and female, young and heart alike, were able to enjoy. Those who wanted to partake of libation, those who didn't, hey, there they were. Now, his sort of final point was that we become so busy, we no longer have time to think and to talk and to interact, and everything is just about now, and we need to be able to get this done because of the timelines and the like. He shared that, unfortunately, as a people, as a country, we're not developing properly. We complain about the pace of development or the construction of buildings and roads. We talk about, the overcrowding in one area or the lack of support in another area. We condemn, all sorts of facets of our society without being constructive, and worse, he said, without offering solutions. There is no way. Now, he shared, couldn't we, as a very, very simple way, not that we need to reinvent the wheel because it exists other places, whether it's to assist the roads authority or the police or otherwise, create a way that the public, through an app, through some sort of technology, leverage what's available to be able to advise the requisite authorities, whether it's, give us an example, the roads, for instance, or the police, of things that need immediate attention. But not just create and leverage this platform, but have the confidence that it's going to be acted upon, and that those who are making the report, they're not going to be subject to any sort of reprisals. And he said that is, unfortunately, a perception that exists. It does not matter whether you call in some place that says, yep, we're confidential and it's going to be, anonymous, if the public does not believe that that's going to be the case. Or, in the case of another instance, you call and you offer something that you're going to be the person who is treated as, the troublemaker, as opposed to the person who's saying, well, this is what transpired and it needs attention. Maybe easier said than done, but maybe not as difficult to achieve as we make it out to be. Now, you share with us. Public sector, private sector. Is one better than the other? 949-8037, 949-8037. Or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. 925-3261 if you want to share your thoughts with us on our WhatsApp. Now, quick little comment here from one individual who is of the view that, let's see, as I read this, can this be read how it's written? Or would someone say this is not only inflammatory but defamatory? Let me see. Person is sharing quickly that the problem here is that we like to mine, and I'm going to use a little bit of license here, equally amend. If the person wants to say it the way it's sent, well, 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255, and then you can say it your way. The person says, we like to mind other people's business. We not as much, interested in looking at how we can do something. We're more interested in finding out how other people can do something for us. And obviously, he didn't say it as maybe as politely as that. But is that the problem? We're selfish and self-serving, as obviously is implied. Let's go to our phones. Nope, not yet. Not ready for that one? All right. Well, 949-8037, 949-8037. Toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Or if you choose, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. A quick comment here from this listener. Sort of more, what are these things called, Miss Susan? Memes? Little things, little images people send you with little comments on it. They're memes. Is that what young people call them these days? Not sure whether this is tongue-in-cheek, meant to be funny, or one of those political satires and the like. This image isn't necessarily, at least I don't think so, meant to be an image of any of our serving or former politicians. It certainly doesn't look like it does, as we've seen some of those in the past. But this thing basically says, as we look at it, Here's a politician with, one hand in the pocket of, what is obviously indicative of, big business, and then, a foot, what seems to be like a church building. So, implying that, as we'll take what we can, knowing that, we can always run to the sanctuary for some sort of element of protection. And then what's written on the bottom of it, well, if you'll allow me not to share that, maybe it is true. And is that the problem? As I share that with you, is that the problem that we don't seem to have any level of respect for some of the institutions? Is it because we become jaded? We've developed this sense that the people who have occupied those systems, whether it's the political system, whether it's the judiciary, whether it's the private sector, regulatory or regulatory body alike, that we don't necessarily have confidence in the integrity of these systems anymore. 949-8037 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. We'll pause, we'll take our break, and you can choose whether you want to share your thoughts with us. I invite you to do so. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
The Cayman Contractors Association would like to urge all contractors to register for the Builders Law by completing the application process. The application is online at www.planning.gov.ky, or the form can be collected from the Planning Department. Do not miss the July 31st deadline and be unable to pull a permit for your job. Ensure your company is licensed, as the public wants to hire licensed contractors. Join the Cayman Contractors Association and stay current on code courses, training, and industry news. The Cayman Contractors Association, building a better Cayman.
Normally, I get excited when my parents are packing, but not today. That's because there's a hurricane coming this way. So it sounds like we'll be staying at a shelter my mom found months ago when preparing for hurricane season. So let's see what mom's packing for me. Now she has my crate, a week's worth of food and water, my bowls, medications, a first aid kit, my pet records, and photo ID with description, some towels and blankets, a leash, and of course my collar and ID tag. Hey, what about Mr. Snuggles? Don't forget Mr. Snuggles. Thanks, Mom.
Being a responsible pet parent means planning ahead. So make sure you have a safe, pet-friendly place to stay, an evacuation route, and your pet's necessary items. And remember, if it's not safe for you, it's not safe for your pet.
This message endorsed by Breeze 105.3. We are Radio Cayman, and this is how we wake you up in the morning. Praise time on Radio Cayman.
Sing your praise to the Lord. Come on, everybody, stand up and sing one more. Hallelujah, give your praise to the Lord. We are united in Jesus Christ. We are the soldiers of the land.
Praise time.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
There's a meeting up in heaven. Roll call. It's a name in the Lamb's Book of Life. Roll call, brother, sister. Roll call. If you don't stop shouting, if you don't stop dancing, we're going to put you out of our church.
Praise time.
Jesus in the morning, yeah.
Weekday mornings from 6 until 6:30.
Your song flowed through my lips. Your work moved through my hands. Your thoughts stay on my mind. Live in me.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
And welcome back to Talk Today. It is open line as we take your calls toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can call us on 949-8037. Or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. 925-3261 if you choose the WhatsApp. Or you can call us toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Now, as we're looking at a number of the perhaps comments being shared by some of our listeners, and to the individual who had just rang me during the commercial break. My apologies, not able to get sufficient time to take that call. Send me the message and the other aspect, and I can pick it up. If not, I'll catch you in the next break. But as I look at this person's comment, it speaks to the issue of credibility and suggests that the issue isn't necessarily always that we don't believe that if something is done, is going to be done competently. It's sometimes that fair, but it's also the credibility and the consistency that we bring to the table, so that each time we know that this person will be. Now you may assume or infer a sense of reliability, but it's as this person is sharing, it's the expectation that it'll always be a level of credibility, as the word that the person has typed. Now, is that a challenge? Is it as we look at some of our own in our society, we don't always know if we align with them, how we'll be perceived going forward. Will people look at it in a certain way and conclude that, well, just as they say, a man is known by the company he keeps. So this time around, the person might not necessarily bring their A game to the table. Let's go to our phones. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Dwayne and Dwayne, number one, you Kingston again.
Welcome back again, sir.
I'd just like to give you trouble when you don't have none.
Well, you know what? If this is the kind of trouble you give me, you're more than welcome to do so.
All right. I heard you reading out something or asking a question a while ago about whether you think it's the public service or the private service giving you better service.
Yeah, so which one does it better? Public sector, the government, or the private sector?
Well, to me, the only way to find out is to try each one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the public feels, but that's how I feel. If it is something you can afford, can do, try it out and see which one come out the best.
Yeah. Let me ask of you, and you can answer from your perspective, but that's not what I'm asking. Generally speaking, from the public, do you think the perception is, when it comes to education, that the government schools are not as good as the private schools?
I don't think so. At least not on Cayman bracket coming out first class.
Okay. Are there any private schools on Cayman bracket?
Not that I know about.
Okay. Now, what about healthcare? So there are those who will go to the private physician in the private sector, as opposed to going to the Georgetown Hospital, the district clinics, and the like.
But whenever I go up there, somebody always takes me, the place is always full. Even when it's certain days from others, you still have the other line of people waiting there to get service.
Okay.
I can tell you that. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not running no one down. When it comes to Faith Hospital, I have never one day had them to really treat me, insult me, anything. No way. They do a first-class job up there.
Well, I think so. I mean, I agree that that's what we experience, but for some reason, now, for instance, and just use education and healthcare, and I use that deliberately because I think, and I'd be happy to change my view if someone can convince me otherwise. I think that in a society, the education system and the health care system sector, those are two of your pillars in your society. Those are your main pillars. Healthy, educated populace makes it healthy, productive society. With that in mind, right? There are those who said, well, they'll go to a private physician because they don't have to wait as long. If they go to, let's say, the Georgetown Hospital, whether it's the GP clinic or whether it's the district health center, they got to wait an hour or 3 hours or 5 hours. Their appointment is at 1:15 and they only got 40 minutes for lunch. That's the whole day gone. Whether that's justified or exaggerated or the like. But if they go to the private physician, an appointment is 1:15 and they get in there by 1:20, 1:30, they don't complain. But if they're in there and they're there for 5 minutes, then they come out and say, we didn't know to see the doctor, but I only had 5 minutes. With the education system, they'll say, well, with the private schools, I call the school for a meeting, I get a meeting, but boy, this and that. Now, why is it that we have one perception or the plan that we would use in the private system that would work? We're not able or seem willing to try to deploy that same or similar plan in the private system as we would in the public system.
Well, I don't see no difference in when it comes to going to the hospital. It is very impossible for you to have an appointment directly on time.
Right.
That is impossible to me. They can have a patient go in there 20 minutes before you, and it take them half an hour by the time they get through. For different tests, different thing, whatever it is, you just have to learn to have patience. Wait.
Yep.
Thank God, that's what didn't give me.
Yep, that is true. I mean, that's the thing. But
teaching and thing, if the government doesn't look into the teachers and say that they are properly trained teachers, that's their fault. The Minister of Education, who it is, and if you come to health, when nurses or doctors or scientists or so and so don't have this or that, and they don't look into it properly, I don't care who it is. Could be from the premier right down. It's their fault.
Can I ask you, again, this is just me wanting to know, but perhaps understanding some of the questions and comments people have made. So from what you said then, do you think that with respect to teachers, that the teachers who are in the private sector, in the private schools, that they're better, just generally speaking, than what we have in the public schools?
Think they would rather to have them?
No, sorry, sir?
I didn't catch that last piece.
Sorry. Yes, sir. No, just asking if you think that the perception is, just generally speaking, is the perception that the teachers who are in the private schools, is it that the public believes that those teachers are better than the teachers that are in the public schools?
I can't swear for the public.
Yes, sir.
That's the best answer I'm going to give you.
Right.
Not being rude to you.
No, sir. No, sir.
We're just talking straight.
Yes, sir.
Because I am not going to go say Tom, Dick, or Harry. I'm going to say yes or no.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you when it comes to Cayman back and the schools, the teachers up here,
okay,
I think they do an excellent job. And the hospital also, the firemen, even the very police.
Yes, sir.
I can sit them in the day when they pass in my place. Man, them guys make some rounds up here, okay?
Okay. Now, I know there are other callers, and I don't want to take all your time.
All right.
But can I... Sorry, you said to me, I have one more question for you, but you go ahead and say it if you want to.
Go ahead. I was going to tell you, okay, since you had more callers.
Yes, sir. My question to you was from your perspective. Do you find that the parents at the schools in Camelback, are they more involved in the PTA and in the school? They meet with their teachers, they get involved with their children, the students who are at school. Are they, from your perception, are they involved, fairly involved with the schools?
According to what I'm hearing, I am not saying doing, because I don't walk about to go anywhere. This or that.
No.
According to what I'm hearing, yes.
Sir. Okay.
They do.
Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. And that's the same thing I believe as well. Hey, thank you, sir.
All right, man.
Thank you.
Have a good day to all of you there at Radio Cayman.
And to you, sir. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, let's take one call. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi. I said you asked two questions where I would love to share my opinion.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't know much. I think the question was once about private education system and public.
Okay.
That and also the hospital.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, my opinion in first of all, the public,
Now, I must share with you, I just asked Ms. Susan, I am not hearing you well. It's breaking up, kind of. I don't know if that's, us. She's going to fix that for us. I see her getting her stuff. Perhaps Miss Susan, looking at the clock and the news, we'll figure that out as well. But I would like very much for us to not only have the courage, of course we're going to speak candidly and always respectfully, but it doesn't mean that, we have to sort of, mix our words in such a way that we don't get to say what we want to say because we're afraid to offend people. Sometimes, we got to share the truth so that we are indeed liberated. What I say, the truth shall set you free. 949-8037, of course, as Miss Susan fixed this, Okay, I can't hear. Okay, so we're going to the news then, Miss Susan? Is that what you're saying? In a second. And then, of course, we'll get that caller all set up and we'll do all sorts of good things as we take your calls and have you share with us. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. A couple of thoughts here that came through on our, messaging technology. So we hit the news now. When we come back, more Talk Today.
Follow Radio Cayman on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. A parent donates a $20,000 artificial field for use at the Edna Moyle Primary School, but government officials say it's not suitable for use. Northside MLA Ezard Miller says those concerns are unfounded and is calling on government to help resolve the problem. In a press conference held earlier today, Mr. Miller turned over emails and letters, which he says show the problems could be resolved. He says the field right now is causing injuries to students and needs to be fixed in time for the next school year. In international headlines, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell is calling NATO the most significant military alliance in history. In remarks to reporters today, McConnell said the European countries are our friends, and the Russians are not. McConnell says there is indisputable evidence that Russia tried to affect the 2016 presidential election. Unbowed by broad condemnation of his extraordinary embrace of a longtime U.S. enemy, U.S. President Donald Trump declared that his Helsinki summit with Russian President Vladimir Putin went, quote, even better than his meeting with NATO allies last week in Brussels. The tweeted defense came a day after Trump openly questioned his own intelligence agency's findings that Russia had meddled in the 2016 U.S. election to his benefit, and he seemed to accept Putin's insistence that Moscow's hands were clean. Israel has placed new restrictions on its only cargo crossing with the Gaza Strip in response to continued Hamas hostilities, even after it agreed to a ceasefire ending 24 hours of intense fighting. Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman said Israel will cease transferring gas and fuel through the Kerem Shalom crossing until Sunday, but will allow food and essential medication to cross. Commercial cargo was suspended last week. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music, and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Nursing, education, social work, media studies, hospitality, electrical, plumbing, AC. Wow, I didn't even know that the University College of the Cayman Islands offered all that.
Yes, all that and more, as well as event management and QuickBooks. They also did customized training for our staff last month. Hey, didn't your son just graduate from high school? Take him so he can apply for the fall semester.
Pursue your academic and professional goals at UCCI. Admissions are ongoing. Classes start August 27th. Visit them or call 623-8224 to learn more.
Important notice for all contractors, including general, civil, residential, building, and trade contractors. The Department of Planning would like to inform you that in order to pull permits and request inspections, your company must be registered with the Builders Board by July 31st, 2018. Failure to register with the Builders Board will prevent you from seeking permits and inspections. Fees and applications can be found online at www.planning.ky. All applications and fees for all contractors must be submitted by July 31st, 2018.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-TALK. Let's go to our phones. It's open line. Good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
I do apologize for calling a while ago. You couldn't hear me. Yes, I just wanted to just to share my opinion in relation to the two questions that you asked previously.
Yes. And thank you for letting us be able to reconnect with you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, in relation to the public schools, I was saying public school. My kids didn't go to public school. They went to private school, but I have grandkids that go to public school.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, it's kind of difficult to say which one is better than the other. If the education system is, one of the things that I noticed is performance management is better in the private sector. The teachers are held accountable for things. They also, in relation, the parents seem to be more involved with, day to day you speak to the teachers. The teachers seem to have more time to spend with the parents and the children and so forth. Now, what I've noticed in the public schools, sorry, I was giving an example of private school. In a public school, I don't see a lot of parents involved. Like if it's 50 children in say 23 children in a class, the one that I'm talking about now,
mm-hmm.
you might see 10 parents out of that group.
So greater parental involvement in the private schools.
Yes,
yeah.
But then I also understand that a lot of the parents that they work in hotels, they work on the other side of the island and so forth, when they have meetings and so forth, it's not always, like the parents can't always get there. It's not, I don't know whether they want to come. Like things are not planned so that the parents' involvement can be there 100%.
So not as enough an attempt to accommodate the
Just
parents
right, yes.
in the public schools as there is in the private schools.
Think outside the box. Right now you have parents that, I worked in the hotel industry. I was a manager, but I worked in the hotel industry where I went to work from like 8 o'clock in the morning, didn't get home until 6 at night. But I could leave and so forth. Some of these people are working as housekeepers or gardeners or whatever. They can't just walk off the job whenever they feel like to go and meet with a teacher. Or when they drop their kids at 8 o'clock in the morning, the teacher might be busy working with you. So sometimes, you say, the public school is better, the private school is better, but they do have good teachers in both areas. I have witnessed that for myself. They have some horrible ones in the private sector. Don't be fooled. They have some really nasty ones there, and they have some good ones in the public sector also. But one of the things that performance management, I think, is key when it comes to in any area, and that is what I see falls short in the public sector.
Well, that's okay. You go ahead. I'll ask you.
Okay, sorry. I was going to just go on to the hospital.
Yes. But you go ahead, Mom.
Okay. All right. In relation to the hospital, I go to both. We have some excellent doctors at the HSA.
Mm-hmm.
We have some wonderful doctors. Even I've had compliments with them even overseas. Have some excellent doctors. I've been to some private physicians on the island, which are supposed to be the best, and they didn't pick up some things that was caught at the HSA. So I have to say kudos to those doctors there. But then again, there is something lacking. I don't know whether we want to say management, performance management, or whatever it is. But when you have a child, I'm using my grandkids as an example, was sitting at the hospital for almost 6 hours in emergency room, having a fever and wheezing. I had to call out to senior people there, and he was not seen too. Those things, when children come into a hospital, seeing kids and elderly, common sense should prevail. You shouldn't just be bypassing them and they dealing with as you come, as first come to. And that never, I've been in the private sector, in the private hospital, where we've had the same situation, and the child was dealt with immediately.
If I may ask then, let's look at the healthcare that, as you use that for the last, start with that first. I understand whether it's in Cayman or whether it's in Florida or it's in other states, and I'll just stick with the U.S. Because their healthcare system and ours were said to be similar in some respects compared to maybe some of the European countries or even Canada. But we understand that in some of the public facilities, that same approach, whether you want to call it a level of urgency or efficiency or performance management that you would refer, it seems that in the private facilities, there's that more attention, more urgency than there are in the public facilities. The wait, for instance, as you shared in the emergency room, I've heard stories of people who had to go to public facilities in Florida and other places, and they're there, waiting for what they found, or in their minds were an extended periods of time. Private facility, not so much. Why is that? Is it that they don't feel that there's a level of accountability and oversight? End of the day, they're going to be paid the same salary. These are the things people are sharing. What do you think causes that sort of approach?
This is a long conversation. It's too long to go into here because I have this feeling.
Yes.
Like I have a daughter that she would never. I keep recommending her to go to private physician. Oh no. She will go to the HSA because she prefers going there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. She preferred the care, even though she complained about waiting. Now I've been to doctors in the U.S. When I had surgery, and I remember getting there for my 9 o'clock appointment, and I was not seen until I had lunch, and I had not been seen yet. So I stopped complaining about the wait. But emergency is emergency. I know people come for non-emergency. That when a child, and there again, when a child and an elderly person come in and they're sick, not coming in because they have a little sniffle, but they're coming in for a major complaint. Those people should be dealt with immediately. So it is something lacking there. The nurses have to be. It's not the doctors because the doctors are not doing triage. But is that something that the nurses have to be told to do, or again I don't understand the structure. Actually.
Yeah, but is it then in the ER as that what we're focusing on specifically right now? The nurses who do the triage. Just a question: if they could say triage 10 patients every hour, just as an argument's sake, but the attending physicians, either because of their approach or because of the space, but they can only see 5 patients or 3 patients, would that somehow affect the nurses' output in terms of, should they really triage 10 patients if only 5? I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's say, I'm not a medical person.
Yeah, me either.
I've been around doctors, I have families that are physicians and so forth. But I have a cousin in Delaware she's a nurse practitioner, and she has, that she's in their clinic.
Right.
When, for example, I have seen them when a person comes in. Let's say kids come in with asthma or something like that, or a fever. They immediately, once they know the background and what medication they're on, they give them something for the fever. So they're not sitting there roasting or whatever. They're taking something for fever, or they start to nebulize them. We had the same situation in the UK. Took my granddaughter there, and she immediately, the first night, she couldn't breathe. And we went, as soon as she got into the place, the nurse started listening to her chest and so forth. So we have to stabilize her right away. So until the doctor didn't see her until maybe 30, 40 minutes after, but at least some sort of treatment. She wasn't sitting there gasping for breath then.
Yeah, I think what you're sharing is that, and maybe I use the word triage without, as I was thinking about it then, maybe it's not the triage, maybe it's the approach that they're saying, well, you got to wait in a way, so why do it? Maybe we need to do what you're saying, take more initiative, have the requisite staff, whether it's the nurse practitioners or the other staff that could move through the waiting clientele and those in chairs and get them assessed, I guess that's triage, as quickly as possible to identify, is it that young child who's in need of something, that elderly person, that more acute, potentially, more acute case. But then is it then too that we as the consuming public, that somehow we don't get more involved and informed and be able to advocate, not in a rude, disrespectful, disruptive way, but in a more assertive way?
I just wish there could be, your comments, because I have made comments in relation. I have called the hospital to either complain, not only complain, but also to commend someone and so forth. But I don't know where those comments go. Because there's certain little things, like for instance, if you do blood work or, you do a test or something. Yeah, I remember many years ago, they had a lady at the hospital that would call you and say, well, for example, your pap smear results came back and everything is okay, or you need to come back and see your doctor, right?
Follow up.
Sometimes you go to get your results and it can't be found, or that's something unheard of. I mean, that happens not only at the public hospital, but it happens elsewhere. But I'm just saying little things like that. If they had a more person-centered kind of approach.
More patient-centric approach, huh?
Yeah. Patient-centered approach. Yeah. I think that would be, you would see the ticks go up for the public health care, you would say.
Yeah, man. Well, it is us, man. It is us who are the consuming public who should be helping to inform policy. And as you said, from this side of the fence as the patients, the consumers, but also as we hire people and they're on that side of the fence delivering the education, the teaching in the classrooms, or the nurses and the doctors and all the other, sort of affiliated personnel, that we have a culture that is going to be patient-centric, it's going to be competent, it's going to be consistent, it's going to be one that is as much as possible, professional and personable. Now, is that an unreasonable expectation? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, for me, when it comes to education and healthcare, I have my expectations. I am paying for, whether you're paying for good service at the hospital, it's not free. It's not free. So I expect a high level of service.
Right.
And for education, education is another. Everybody wants their child to be educated. Not everybody can afford for the child to be sent to a private school.
Yeah.
It's very, very expensive. Not only expensive, it's very difficult now to get on that waiting list.
Yeah. But it's also too that you said something, as we certainly appreciate you spending some extended time with us. It's a topic I know many people are interested in both subjects. But in the private schools, it's perhaps very, very dependent too on, and I'm thinking that's the administrator, for instance, where that person is the CEO, the principal. If there's a strong personality that influences the culture and the ethos, if that's a positive one, that person may be able to put that stamp just as easily as that person could if that person is not necessarily an honorable, ethical, decent person. Maybe the problem is that if it was in the public system, the ability to move that person around and to make the adjustments isn't as efficient and effective and as quick as it would be expected to be in the private system.
Yeah.
Performance management, I like what you said, and parental involvement, as you shared.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Wonderful day. Okay.
Thank you, and enjoy it. And this is what we would like for our people to be constructive in our dialogue. I'm sure things that are said, either by your callers or guests, or even myself, may offend some ears. I don't think it's an intention on my part. Anyway, I believe, honestly, it wasn't the intention of the individual that this call. I believe what she said was very constructive. Now, you may want to support her, you may want to take issue with her, you may even want to take issue with me. Hey, it's a free country in the sense of it being a democracy. Certainly isn't any more expensive than other places. The question is, though, what are our expectations and do we have a standard of excellence? It is our final break. Let's just take that. And when we come back, we'll be here from you. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Every Saturday morning at 9.
Bob, you got to turn around this plane. See my box down there with my parrot and rabbits.
Right here on Radio Cayman.
In Cayman, we are surrounded by water and make our living by farming the sea.
Come join us as we proudly present Caymanian stories.
The whole problem started when Kanka promised Mrs. June that she would babysit her daughter, Lil Kelly, one Saturday afternoon.
Caymanian Stories is proudly sponsored by Cayman National Bank, serving the Cayman Islands since 1974. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all your financial needs.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen. Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. Call 1-800-534-8255. That's 1-800-534-TALK.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And yes, less than 9 minutes or so left in the show, and man, we enjoy being here to help you have an opportunity to share your thoughts with us and our listening public. 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255. It's open line. You go into our phones. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Sterling?
Hi, how are you?
This is me, right?
Yes, Mom.
Sterling, I'm still very thankful and highly bit. I just told Susan I'm sticking my fingers again.
You are very talented, yes.
Sterling, things is working so well.
Amen to that.
The blessings is pouring down.
Amen.
The faith is so strong that it's just flowing in. I mean in, and staying in. Thanks to the good Lord. Because He is good, and He's good all the time. I know you know too.
Amen.
Sterling, that lady that called, right? She gave me goosebumps, you know.
She shared well. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, she gave me goosebumps because it came in like I was a recording of myself.
You see that, huh? Uh-huh.
Not about the school, but about the hospital and business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So, Sterling, I'm going to leave it right there, and I tell that lady, I say, okay, I don't know who you is. I can see it that came on. I don't know who you is, but I tell you what, you sound good too. And thanks for like backing me up, because I tell you what, I keep saying, Sterling, my mouth do have a zipper, and I do have a padlock. So therefore, especially when I can talk about my own personal experiences, Sterling, I'm going to continue doing so.
Of course.
I told somebody yesterday, I said, if the good Lord didn't want me to talk, He could have made me that way. Sterling?
Yes, Mom.
But He made me to talk, and I talking.
Well,
and I'm not talking nothing fool.
Not at all.
You know what I'm saying, Sterling? I'm going to continue listening for the last few little minutes that you got left, but you know me, I keep my radio on all the time. If it's not one, it is two.
And we appreciate that. And we appreciate you taking the opportunity to share with us. Hey, thanks very much. And keep those fingers, ticking away productively. All right? All right. Take care, Mom. God bless. And as that caller shared, the one prior, she, very gracious and engaged us for an extended period. As she shared, education and healthcare for those who may use the public system, it isn't free. We pay for it as a country. It isn't that I believe that people necessarily, expect something for nothing. I think maybe as she shares, she has high expectations, as do many of us. The question is, can we get to a place where we develop this ethos that we are going to bring the very best every time? Can you imagine if each and every single one of us did that? We were the most honorable and ethical. We were the most competent, most committed, right? Most supportive, most cooperative. If each one brought the very best, then obviously wouldn't we get a better result? And so when someone didn't, or when someone behaved in a way that we found to be counter to the norm, that norm being the very best, that person would stand out. Now, as the fellow I was speaking with earlier shared, he said, but somehow everything sort of, and let me show his age, he said, God, what? Flipped, turned upside down? Quoting that song. Is that how it goes, Miss Susan? It got turned on his head, where bad is good for some reason is celebrated, where we look at things, and if you are not sort of cheating the system or finding a way to, extol, blood from a stone, then obviously you're not that really good. And when you offer up, an element of being helpful, you're taken advantage of because you obviously must be weak. When you're not standing your ground, well, then obviously you're trying to be amenable, but nope, you seem to be a pushover. And he thought, why is it that way? Obviously, he speaks from the profession he's in, where he says it's termed, cutthroat. For him to survive, he has to not only put in the long hours, but be expected to sometimes, not just compete with the competitors in the sector, but with his colleagues in the office for the promotion, for the recognition, for the opportunity to travel, to be seconded, to be, rewarded in some way. And you imagine, he said, if that is the environment that is being created in their sort of setting, that's the corporate culture that is developed, how can we expect it to be different in our wider communities? Now, does that make us, for those who would ask as the caller prior question, where is that standard of excellence, and where is that willingness to act on both the, complaint as well as the compliment? Well, you be the judge, and you ask yourselves, is it possible for you to do better, to bring your A game each time? People talk about giving 110%. Maybe that's possible, but perhaps just give 100% whenever possible, wherever possible. And when someone isn't, is it a way to hold them accountable and expect better from them? They may not be able to give more, but can they do better? 894-9837 or 1-800-534-8255. Please join Mr. Art Corner in the morning for the record. Be a part of his ongoing discussion. Thank you so much for the many comments and questions and emails and participation that you share in the mornings. I certainly enjoy, listening to the show. I think Mr. Art brings a wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise to the discussion. Certainly, it makes the job looks super easy. I learn a lot by following his example. Your continued participation helps us to be an informed and involved community, and our children and grandchildren deserve no less, but our parents and forefathers, would expect no less. They set a good example. They made great sacrifices. Now, if we want to continue the prosperity, the social stability, and economic success, we got to do likewise. Invite you to enjoy the rest of this afternoon as best as you can. Look at what's out there and put a good foot forward. Doesn't mean that you're not feeling it. You could be weary because you've had a tight season. It could be, other reasons that your smile isn't as bright or your step isn't as quick. But hey, we're living and breathing, so let's give thanks. Come back tomorrow for more Talk Today, right after midday news and midday meditation. And of course, we ask you again to join Mr. Hart in the morning for the record. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by South Coast Bar and Grill in Breakers, a true Caymanian experience.